guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you with Daisy and the Trouble with Coconuts, Chapter 10 till Chapter 12. Chapter 10. The trouble with being in a car accident is it makes you need a fizzy drink. The trouble with fizzy drinks is there are so many different ones to choose from. And non-fizzy ones, especially at a fun fair. By the time I got to the fizzy drink stall, I'd forgotten all about the bump on my chin. Fizzy drinks stalls give children much more important things to think about, like cola or cherryade or lemonade or orangeade or even better, wait for it, slush puppies. When I saw that the fizzy drink stall did slush puppies, I really did scream. Slush puppies are my favorite drink that I'm not allowed to have. They're like milkshakes, except they take all the milk out and put icy slush in instead. My mom never lets me have slush puppies because she says they're full of colorings and artificial flavorings and other things that sound really nice. But guess what? My mom wasn't with us. There are 4 flavors of slush puppy that you can choose from at a fun fair. Green, red, orange, and bright blue. Nanny and Grampy said I could have any flavor I wanted. So after they had given the lady some money, I asked for red, mixed with bright blue, which makes bright purple if you mix it up with a straw. Bright purple slush puppies are the best. You should try one. After I'd finished my slush puppy, Nanny said we should think about getting something to eat, which was a brilliant idea because my slush puppy had made me feel really hungry. The trouble with funfair hot dogs and burgers is it's really hard to choose which one is nicest, especially when the burgers are extra large and the sausages are extra long and bendy. So Nanny said I could have one of each, so I did, without onions though. The trouble with funfair onions is they look a bit burned and squishy. Plus, if you don't have any, it leaves much more room for tomato sauce. After I'd eaten my hot dog and burger, I thought I was absolutely full. But then I suddenly realized I wasn't, because guess what I saw next? Candy floss. The trouble with candy floss is when you see somewhere that makes it, it makes you do 2 things. 1, scream. 2, scream again. Have you ever seen how candy floss is made? It's incredible. You just give a man some money and then he takes an empty stick and waves it round and round like a magic wand inside this special metal machine where all the candy floss is being fluffed up. The more waving he does, the more the candy floss fluffs up onto your stick. Nanny and Grampy asked the candy floss man for an extra large one, which meant by the time he had stopped fluffing, the candy floss on my stick was huge. In fact, it was bigger than my face. Luckily, I'm quite strong, so I could hold it in one hand. When I took my first bite of the candy floss, I couldn't believe it. It was like eating a pink, sugary cloud. It tasted really sweet and really good for me, except every time I tried to chew it, it just melted away in my mouth. Big chews, like little chews, tiny nibbles, weeny sucks. Whichever way I tried to eat it, it just kept disappearing in my mouth. Even if I just touched it with my tongue, it melted away. After about 20 bites, Nanny showed me how to pull bits off with my fingers. If you pull candy floss off with your fingers, it doesn't melt away at all until you put it in your mouth. Then Nanny showed me how to use my candy floss to pretend I had a mustache, like Grampy's. Only mine was a mustache I could eat. I've got a good idea, I said. I'll make a long candy floss beard as well as and pretend I'm Father Christmas. Trouble is, I didn't have enough candy floss left on my stick by then. I only had about enough for a smallish mouse beard, which was okay because now we were going on the waltzer. Chapter 11. The trouble with waltzers is everybody wants to go on them, which means we had to queue up in a line for about 5 minutes before we could get on. Grampy said the Q would give my slush puppy and hot dog and burger and tomato sauce and candy floss a chance to go down. But it also gave me a chance to say hello to Sanjay Lepore. At first, I didn't even realize that Sanjay and his mom and dad were standing in the queue behind us. I was far too busy watching the waltzer, trying to work out which carriage would be the fastest one for us to get into. Sanjay asked me if I had seen any friends from school. He said loads of people from school were at the fun fair too. He had seen Liam Caldecott, Liberty Pierce, Barry Morley, Vicky Caro, Paula Potts, and even Mrs. Peters. Can you believe it? Mrs. Peters. I never thought she would like fun fairs too. Sanjay told me that so far he'd been on this merry-go-round and the octopus. Plus, he'd nearly won a teddy on the Claw of Destiny. When I asked him what a Claw of Destiny was, he said it was a really exciting game in a glass box where you have to try and pick up a teddy by steering and dropping down a shiny metal claw. Sanjay's dad is a crane driver, so Sanjay knew he would be really good at the Claw of Destiny. Trouble is, the claw dropped into the teddies before it was supposed to do, and then it closed up before it was supposed to do as well. Which meant that Sanjay touched a teddy but didn't actually pick it up. But he was really close. When I asked him what an octopus did, he said it was a really scary giant ride with 8 legs that spins you around and right in the air. Plus, it waves you up and down so much, it nearly throws you out of the fairground. When I asked him if it made him scream, he said he screamed so loud his ears nearly fell off. When we got to the front of the queue for the waltzer, Nanny asked Sanjay's mom and dad if they wanted to get in our carriage with us. Waltzer carriages are easily big enough to fit 6 people in, so now it was going to be 6 times as much fun. Waltzers are really death-defying. In fact, they are so death-defying, you don't get normal seatbelts to save you. You get safety bars made out of actual metal. Which is a good job, really, because waltzers are out of control. Not only do they make you go faster than a rocket, they move you up and down as well. After about 27 seconds, we were all screaming so much we didn't even realize there was a steering wheel we could turn in the middle of our carriage. But when we noticed someone else doing it, we worked out how to make our carriage spin round too. At first, Sanjay and me took turns with the wheel, but then our face muscles started to hurt so much from all our laughing and screaming that we had to stop. Which was okay, because then Sanjay's dad did the wheel turning instead. You should have seen Nanny and Grampy's faces as we got spinnier and spinnier. Grampy's wrinkles went right over to one side of his face, and Nanny screamed so much her false teeth nearly came out of her mouth. I think Nanny and Grampy were really relieved when the waltzer started to slow down. Sanjay and me weren't. We wanted to stay on and have another go, but we weren't allowed to, which was okay, because as the safety bars in our waltzer unlocked, I saw another fun fair game that I absolutely totally wanted to go on. It was a Wild West game called Rootin' Tootin' Shootin'. And guess what? It was a game with actual guns. Chapter 12. The trouble with actual guns is Sanjay's mom and dad don't think children should be allowed to play with them. So we had to say goodbye to Sanjay and his mom and dad after that, which is okay because 6 people aren't allowed to hold a rootin' tootin' cowboy rifle at the same time. Rootin' shootin' is one of the most dangerous things you can do at a fun fair. Because, and you're never going to believe this, it's a game with real actual rifles, loaded with real actual corks. Once Grampy had paid a man in a cowboy hat some money, I was given 5 actual corks to shoot, all of my very own. Plus, I was allowed to stand up on a box so I could reach my gun. That's when I got to see what Grampy and me had to aim at. That's when I realized what a good shot I was going to have to be. good shoot I would have to be. Because our targets weren't Indians or buffaloes. There were boxes of Dolly mixtures. The trouble with Dolly mixtures is they're a lot smaller than Indians and buffaloes, which makes them a lot harder to aim at and hit. Granby said to pretend I was Jesse James, but I don't think pop stars know anything about shooting Dolly mixtures. So I just decided to aim as best as I could. The trouble with Rutan Tootin rifles is they are quite heavy, which makes them hard to hit. The trouble with Rutan Tootin corks is they don't know how to aim properly. Every time the man in the cowboy hat loaded a cork for me, it came out of my rifle the wrong way when I shot it. If I aimed the cork in the middle of the Dolly mixtures, it went over the Dolly mixtures. If I aimed my cork over the Dolly mixtures, it went under the Dolly mixtures. If I pointed my cork to the left, it went to the right. If I pointed my cork to the right, it went to the left. Even Granby couldn't hit the box of Dolly mixture. And he had 5 corks too. Plus, he was a soldier in the war. At least I think he was. On my last cork, I didn't even aim at the Dolly mixtures. I just pointed it at the air and pulled the trigger. And guess what? I hit the Dolly mixtures. I knocked an actual box of actual Dolly mixtures right over it with my actual cork. Trouble is, although I had knocked the Dolly mixtures over, I hadn't knocked them off the shelf. Which means the man in the cowboy hat told me I hadn't won a prize, which wasn't okay because now I was starting to get a bit cross. Well, that's the end of this channel. I hope you enjoyed my readings of it, and I'll come back tomorrow with a new and improved channel. Bye, everybody.